my never before seen collection of wild guppies. I usually don't show these guppies, they're so small. This colony is about 30 years old. I got them years ago just down the street. Greg had a pet store on Allowance Avenue. It was a long time ago. These guppies are much more unique than today's guppies that you see. Today's guppies are much larger and much more colorful. Although at one time all the pet stores had a lot of these common guppies. They would be used as feeder guppies, and you could use them and breed them with the fancy guppies and get a different selection of guppies. Although if you did mix in these common guppies with today or yesterday's fancy guppies, you would end up with just small guppies. They would all revert within a few generations, they'd all revert back to what you see, the small common guppy. So that was the biggest trouble 30 years ago, was trying to keep your big fancy guppies big and fancy. Now today's guppies, we'll take a quick look at today's guppies. You can no longer breed today's guppies with these, with the old little tiny guppies from 30 years ago. Here's an example of today's guppies. Today's guppies are larger. The females are larger. And let's take a quick look at this tank here. It's easier to see. Now today's guppies, even the females have beautiful tails. The males and the females. And they're much larger. Both, much larger. Some of them are noticeably larger. Now if I were to take some of my wild guppies and put them in this tank, and they would be fine until they started breeding with these guys. And when they start breeding with these guys, they get sick, they get skinny and waste away like AIDS. It's like they gave them an AIDS virus, so that you can no longer cross these ones with the wild guppies from years ago. The wild guppies all die out and you're left with just these. That's what happened. I did try to put some of the old guppies. When I first got this colony of guppies, I used to only have the tiny guppies, but about 10 years ago I got this colony of guppies, and I tried to mix them